So we'll start with our text of King Lear with a speech of Regan, that is line number 300. So earlier in the previous lecture, we had seen that Cordelia has left with the King of France, and now the two sisters, that is Regan and Gondrel, are talking to each other regarding who will keep their father first and what would be the arrangement. Regan, it's the infirmity of his age, yet he hath ever but slenderly known himself. She says, I think because of his age he is going senile, or he is going a little bit mad. But then again, he's never really understood his own feelings very well. Goneril, the best and soundest of his time hath been but rash. She says that yes, he was always hot-headed, he was always like this, even in the prime of his age. Rash means he was always rash in his decisions or hot-headed. Then must we look from his age to receive not alone the imperfections of long and grafted condition, but therewithal the unruly waywardness that infirm and choleric years bring with them. She says that now as he is old, or he is growing old, we can expect to have to deal with things that are the flaws of his character, which have now become so deep rooted into his mind that they are so deep rooted habits, but which are also uncontrollable, and they come with the old age. Such unconstant starts are we like to have from him as this of Kent's banishment. So Regan says that maybe or probably we'll witness many more such outbursts from him, like the one that he has done by banishing Kent from the kingdom. Gondrel, such unconstant starts are we like to have from him as this of Kent's banishment. There is further compliment of leave taking between France and him. Pray you, let's sit together. If our father carry authority with such dispositions as he bears, this last surrender of his will but offend us. Gondrel says that there is still the King of France farewell ceremony to take place. So we should think together. If our father continues to use his authority like he used to do, or as usual, then his recent abdication or of the kingdom will just hurt us, or it will hurt our interests. We shall further think on it. She says that yes, we have to think about it very carefully. We must do something, and I am the heat. And in the heat means when the things are hot, or when the iron is hot, we should strike at that time. They exit now. So they are in a way discussing that how can they still keep Cordelia out of their lives. Enter Edmund the bastard with the letter. Edmund, thou nature art my goddess, to thy law my services are bound. Edmund says that I only worship what is natural, not what's man-made. My services are bound. Wherefore should I stand in the plague of custom and permit the curiosity of nations to deprive me? For that I am some 12 or 14 moonshines lag of a brother. Why, bastard, wherefore base? When my dimensions are as well compact, my mind as generous, and my shape as true as honest madam's issue, Why brand they us with base, with baseness, bastardy, base? So, with this speech of Edmund, we come to the Act 1, Scene 2. So, the scene has changed and Edmund is now talking. He says that I don't worship things that are natural, I only worship things that are man-made. Why should I let myself to be tortured by the customs which are man-made? Should I stand in the plague of custom and permit the curiosity of nations to deprive me? For that I am some 12 or 14 moonshines, lag of a brother. He says that why should I be punished or tortured because of some customs which are man-made? He says that I am just 12 or 14 months younger to my older brother. 12 or 14 moonshines means 12 or 14 months. That means that I was born 12 or 14 months later than my older brother. So why should I suffer or why should I be tortured because of these man-made customs? Why do they call me a bastard and low life when I am just as gifted in mind and body as a legitimate child? He says I don't have anything less than my brother, so why should I be called much low to him? I have the same mind, same body, and I am gifted with good mind like him. So why do they call us bastards, always low life? So he is cribbing about the fact that he is an illegitimate child and he is suffering because of that and he is being tortured because of this fact. At least he says that when my dimensions are as well compact, dimensions means my body is the same, my mind is generous and my shape as true as honest madam's issue. Honest madam's issue means I am the same like any child who is a legitimate child. So why do they keep on calling me a bastard or a low life, who in the lusty stealth of nature take more composition and fierce quality than doth with a dull, stale, tired bed? Go to the creating a whole tribe of fops, got between sleep and wake. He says that at least he says that we, that is the illegitimate childs, are at least are conceived in a moment of passion or not just in a dull moment of a marriage bed where half sleeping or not interested parents create a child. Well then, legitimate Edgar, I must have your land. He says that, so all right, Edgar, though you are a legitimate brother or legitimate son, I have to have your lands. Fine word, legitimate. Well, my legitimate, if this letter speed and my invention thrive, Edmund the base shall top the legitimate. He says, if our father loves me just as much as the legitimate Edgar, then, well, my legitimate brother, if he is talking about a letter that he is going to send according to the plan, he says that if this letter works and my plan succeeds, Edmund the low life will beat the legitimate. I grow, I prosper, now God stand up for bastards. He says that I am on my way and 3 cheers for the illegitimate or the bastard sons. Enter Gloucester. Edmund looks over his letter. Gloucester, Kent banished thus and France in Tholer parted. He says that Kent has been banished just like that by the king, and the king of France is also going away in a rush And the king gone tonight prescribed his power confined to exhibition. And he says, and even the king has abdicated his authority, and he has given up his kingship and even the ceremonial title that he was holding. And all of this is happening so suddenly. Edmund, how now? What news? He asks Edmund that what's going to happen now? What's the news? What do you have any news regarding this? Edmund, pocketing the letter, so please your lordship, none. He says, no, I don't have any news. Why so earnestly seek you to put out of that letter? He says, why are you hiding that letter? I know news, my lord. He again says that I don't have any news. What paper were you reading? He asks him about the paper. Nothing, my lord. Gloucester, no, what indeed? What needed then that terrible dispatch of it into your pocket? The quality of nothing hath not such need to hide itself. Let's see. Come, if it be nothing, I shall not need spectacles. Gloucester says that if it has nothing in it, why did you keep it in your pocket in such a hurry? If it were nothing, you wouldn't need to hide it. So let's see it. Come on, he says, if there's nothing written on it, then I would be needing my glasses to read it. I beseech you, sir, pardon me. It is a letter from my brother that I have not all over read. He says, I'm sorry, I beg you, but it's a letter from my brother that I haven't finished reading. And for so much as I have perused, I find it not fit for your overlooking. He says, and the letter, as I have judged from what I have read in it, I feel that you should not read it. It's not fit for you to see it. Give me the letter. I shall offend either to detain or give it. The contents, as in part I understand them, are to blame. He says, now I'll offend you whether I give it or not, because the problem is that whatever the letter says, as far as I can tell, it's not good for you. Let's see, Edmund. I hope for my brother's justification. He wrote this but as an essay or taste of my virtue. He says he's trying to clarify, though the meaning of his words is not what he wants to say, but he's still on the upper, he's clarifying. I hope for my brother's sake, he says, that he may have written it to test my honor. This policy, now Gloucester starts reading the letter. This policy in reverence of age makes the world bitter to the best of our times, keeps our fortunes from us till our oldness cannot relish them. Now, this is the letter that he is reading. He reads that the custom of respecting the elderly makes it so hard for the young and healthy people to live well, and because they keep their inheritance until we are old, and we cannot enjoy the fortunes that we have. Oldness cannot relish them. He says that they don't give our fortunes when we are young, and they keep all the fortunes with them and our inheritance until we are old, and we are not able to enjoy. I begin to find an idle and fond bondage in the oppression of aged tyranny, who sways not as it hath power, but as it is suffered. He says, he reads further that the power of the elderly is starting to feel like some silly and foolish slavery to me, and they keep on enjoying the power because we let them have it. We don't interfere it, or we don't say anything about it. Come to me, that of this I may speak more. If our father would sleep till I waked him, you should enjoy half his revenue forever and live the beloved of your brother. He says, come, talk to me about this. If our father were dead and would sleep means were dead, you'd receive half of his revenue or half of his fortune forever, and you'll have my undying love also. Edgar, conspiracy. While reading, he understands that there is some conspiracy brooding. Sleep till I wake him. You should enjoy half his revenue, my son Edgar. Had he hand to write this, a heart and brain to breed it in? When came this to you? Who brought it? Now, Gloucester feels that there is something cooking. He asks that what maybe that it's a conspiracy. If our father were dead, you'd receive half of his revenue forever, my son Edgar. He asks him how did he get this letter and who brought this letter to him, and how could he have even entertained such thoughts in his mind or heart. How the letter was delivered to him. So he questions Edmund about the letter. It was not brought to me, my lord. There is the cunning of it. He says, no, it was not delivered to me, my lord. That's the clever part of this. I found it thrown in at the casement of my closet. He says, it was just thrown near my window. You know the character to be your brother's? Gloucester asked. That character means handwriting. Do you think that this handwriting is of your brother? Edmund, if the matter were good, my lord, I does swear it were his. Edmund is playing very cunningly. He says that if he had written some nice things in it, I would swear by God that this handwriting is his. But in respect of that, I would fain think it were not. But he says that, but as it stands of now, I wish I could believe it wasn't his handwriting. It is his. It is his hand, my lord, but I hope his heart is not in the contents. He says that it's his handwriting, sir, but I feel and I hope that he doesn't want to write what he has written in it, that he didn't mean to say whatever he has written in it. Has he never before sounded you in this business? He says, has he ever given any idea about what he has written in this letter? Never, my lord, but I have heard him oft maintain it to be fit that sons at perfect age and fathers decline, the father should be as vowed to the son, and the son manage his revenue. Says, never, my lord, but he has often spoken or argued about such things that when sons are at their prime, they should be handed over the fortunes, and the sons should be their father's guardians and manage their father's money. Gloucester, oh villain, villain, his very opinion in the letter, abhorred villain, unnatural, detested, brutish villain, worse than. He now curses his son. He says he is a villain, and whatever he has said in the letter, it's all monstrous, very hateful, and it's worse. He is worse than a villain. So, thank you. We'll continue with this play, Act 1, Scene 2 in our next lecture. Thank you for now.